with the ability of sending SMS messages through software, you have to do it in a particular way. And unfortunately, we do not have the ability to send SMS messages through your own phone, through your own SMS number. If you go into Realvolve, click on the down arrow on the right-hand side and go to Settings. In the Settings area, there's a whole menu of setting options over here on the left-hand side. We've got this SMS services. And what this is this is an area where you can set up an SMS number, but it's not your own number. It is a number that you can pick and choose from. I've already got mine set up. I really ought to go to one that doesn't have one set up, but it will give you the opportunity to pick which country you're from, what area code that you would like the number to be in, and then it will give you the like 10 or 12, maybe 20 different possible SMS numbers that you can pick and choose from. You choose one of those. It's not going to be your own SMS number, but it's going to be one that you can utilize within Realvolve. Once you've got that set up, you'll also be able to assign the option for notifications. So whenever you send an SMS message, they will get that message. If they reply to that message, you can be notified by getting an email that, hey, you just received an SMS message into Realvolve, but you can also have it notify your own cell phone number, which would be listed there in your system. So by checking both of those, or you check one or both, any of them, it gives you that ability to be notified. Now, if you then get it on your phone, you have the ability to click on their number, send them a text, and start corresponding from your phone. The problem with doing that is the fact that whenever you take it from your phone and do that SMS like that, you will no longer be logging those messages into Realvolve. Later this quarter, we're in the first quarter of 2017, we will have our mobile app and make it available, and in which case you will be able to do all your SMS correspondence right from there, and it'll be not be an issue. But once you start using your built-in phone's SMS number, it stops communicating with Realvolve, just because you're no longer using our SMS number. So it's important that you make sure that you use our SMS number whenever you're doing any kind of correspondence. Now, the first thing that you typically want to do whenever you're setting up your number and you start using it for any purposes, and most people will use that for the workflow area, is sending maybe one of the workflows that you send out, maybe some kind of escrow service for buyers or sellers or whatever. One of the things that you might do in one of the activities is sending a message, an SMS message, to a buyer, a seller, potentially a lender or whatever, saying, hey, this is my update service. We'll update through this number. Just let you know this is not my normal number. So you can at least let them know that this is strictly for updates, and if they want to reply to it, you'll still get notified, but it's really not used for normal back and forth correspondence at this point. So whenever you're doing, let me just go to one of these. Doesn't really have any particular one. I'm just going to grab one of these. You can set up actions within Realvolve, and I'm not going to go into the full details of this, but you can say send SMS text and choose that you want to send it automatically. Maybe you just want to send out a text real quick. You can choose send SMS text, and then pick one of your templates that you might send, and then that way it goes out, and I would have one for that introduction that I was just talking about, so that you don't have to explain through just a phone call or something like that what you need to do to send them text that has that detailed information. So hope that explains what you're doing. And once you have that SMS message number, anytime you go to a particular person in the database, and I'm just going to go to Joe Agent for lack of a better one. If you click on the little send SMS message, then you can send the message. And all of that information then will be put into, I'm just going to put in something here, say send message. Then that information then comes in and has a message, and it's being stored on the screen so that you can deal with it. And if I wanted to reply to it, if I wanted to make any kind of correspondence back and forth, I can do it right from here, and it'll send it back and forth. So that works real well. Again, for those that just joined us, we do have a questions area in the GoToWebinar toolbar, and if you want to put any kind of questions that you have into that box, we'll just kind of keep going down the list of questions until we either run out of time or run out of questions. This is really no set time for this webinar other than an hour limit, but if there's something that you want asked, put it in the questions area and I'll try to answer it for you. I have contacts labeled A, B, C, and D. How do I see how many of each of them we have? Okay, so I'm in the contacts area here, and yeah, I've got some contacts, and this is just a training site, so I don't really have a whole lot of people in here. But I have some that are labeled A, B, C, and D, and you can tell that by the color. A lot of people ask, what's that color for? And the color basically shows you A's are this reddish color, B's are the yellow, C's are green, and D's are blue. So you can kind of tell what they are over here. But you may want to know how many of each that you have. So you've got a couple different options of things that you can do. Number one, if you're in a team situation and you only want to make sure that you get your contacts, the contacts that belong to you, you might want to make sure that you set up a filter for your name. And in this case, I'm just logged in as Joe Agent, so it shows Joe Agent. So I do that. But maybe I want to go in here and say, oh, I want to see how many A's I've got. I can filter by just my A's, and it shows me that I've got 17, and of course all of them are red, so it shows up that way. So I can go in there and remove the A's, and maybe I just want to see the B's, so I can see that. So that's one way of seeing them. If you want to see how many A's and B's do I have, I can certainly go in there and say, well, I've got 50 of them that are both A and B. So if you're just wanting to get a count like that, you can do that. One other option that you've got is on the dashboard, we have a section here for contacts. And this contacts does show the contacts that are assigned to you, that you've got rights to. And if I click on this box, some of these boxes, when you click on them, they give you more detailed information. So if you click on that, you can see that there are additional contacts in there and their numbers. So definitely anytime that you want to see counts and stuff, you can go in there and break it out that way. And then if you click back, then it goes back again. So that would give you that. There's really the two different ways, the filter and the widget. Here's a question. Hey, Mark, I had a couple questions this morning. Oh, hey, this is Michael. Okay, hey, Michael. Michael's on our sales staff. Actually, Mike, let me turn your mic on if you want. How you doing, Mike?
Good.
Awesome to have you on here. Yes, I do.
Perfect.
So
yeah,
so
I thought this might be a helpful question. Somebody was asking about importing contacts. They were specifically coming from Follow-Up Boss, so I thought walking through that process would be helpful. And then they were also looking for more that continual import as well, so creating that Zap. I guess Follow-Up Boss, they have an actual Zap that you can do instead of doing the parser. So however you want to tackle that.
Okay, yeah, sure. So one of the really cool things about Realvolve is the ability to zap we use Zapier.com as an integration point, and Zapier.com is connected to over 750 now different applications that are out there. And if I just go to Zapier.com, you can set up a free account within Zapier, and with that free account, you have the ability to have up to 100 Zaps per month with that free plan. So what that means is you can set up different types of things that happen, Zaps, that would bring data from one application to another. One of those, and I'm just going to click on to make a new Zap, and it gives you basically two options. There's what's called a trigger app. The trigger app is the application that it's coming from that triggers the thing. And there is, if we do Follow-Up Boss, there is a Follow-Up Boss Zap. And we click on that, and we have a couple different options. One is, what happens whenever there's a new contact, or if there's a new tag added to a contact. So you can use one or both of these. You might need to create two different Zaps, one just to add new contacts and one to add tags if you're wanting to constantly keep your tags updated in Realvolve. You can do that. But you can click on that you want to create a new contact. In Follow-Up Boss, that it automatically come in here, so choose new contact and click on Save. Now, I do not have a Follow-Up Boss account, but what you would do is you would click here to connect your Follow-Up Boss account. It's going to give you an option to put in an API key, and it tells you that to get that API key, you'll go into your Follow-Up Boss account, go into Settings. It'll show you that key, you copy that key, and you place it in here. Once you place it in there, click Yes and Continue, and then it will create a connection then that can be used within Realvolve. Now, we don't need to show this for this particular purpose, so I'm going to continue on. You would go ahead and hit Continue, and then it would test it, make sure it's good, and once it's good, then it would come down here to the second step. The second step on this is choose the app that we want to bring this data into. What is the action that we want to do? In this case, we want to bring it in from Realvolve. So I'm going to click on Realvolve. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to create a contact. So I'm going to click on Save and Continue. It will then give me the ability to say, which account do I want to connect? And once again, I can say connect a new account, and I can then pick which account by going into Realvolve, going into the little drop down in Settings, going into my Integrations area, and then in here I have a Zapier API key. I'll just copy that, go back over to come back over here to this window and paste that in and click Yes and Continue. So at that point, it goes ahead and creates that link. If I want to, I can, if you're in a team environment, you guys want to use different things based off of certain people coming in, you can change the name of the account, maybe put your own name or whatever in there, because each user has their own Zapier capability, so you can set that up. You can test it, make sure that it was successful, and then click on Save and Continue. So now that we've done this, it's going to give me the ability to select the different fields that we want to pull from. Now, again, because I don't have a Follow-Up Boss account, this is not going to be totally helpful. But there will be a little drop down. You can click on the little menu here, and there's going to be lots of different choices. Normally, there's going to be choices that say Follow-Up Boss first name, last name, phone number, stuff like that. And you can pick and choose those fields to go into Realvolve. You would have, and I'm just going to type it in here, you might have one of those fields. Let me just grab something here. Yeah, this doesn't really make as much sense, but there would be one in there called first name, in which case you can choose first name and then put a little space there and then choose maybe the second name or last name. And then that way those two fields would build what is Realvolve's full name. So if Mark and Step was in there, it would create into our full name, Mark Step. You can do the same thing for home addresses, phone numbers, all the different fields that we have available in this. Tags that are coming in, you can specify specific tags. So you might say that you wanted to bring it in as follow-up boss. You can certainly do that. You also have the ability to use fields in follow-up boss. So maybe there was some kind of field in follow-up boss that you wanted to use as a tag. Even their tags field you can bring in as a tag. So those types of things can all be assigned. We do have a place there where we can choose different types of sources. Where did that source come from? In which case you might have a follow-up boss item. Let's not choose web. Then the fun really starts. One of the things that you have is whenever a lead comes into follow-up boss, it automatically would add it into follow-up boss. As soon as that contact's in follow-up boss, it would automatically create the zap and zap it into Realvolve. Then from within Realvolve, you can say, well, I want to start a workflow. I want to start a particular workflow. Maybe I want to start a workflow that's some kind of buyer investor home service finder, some kind of workflow or lead generation workflow that you're building and nurturing that relationship. And that just gives you a way to, not only are we importing it, but we're immediately starting that workflow and being able to, and I don't like to use the word drip, but drip on them either through phone calls, through emails, through SMS text messages, keeping them into some kind of a loop that allows you to stay in constant contact with them. You do have the ability to assign a record owner. If it's left blank, it's going to be whoever the key that the API key that we use, it'll put it in. But we also have the ability to assign it to specific users within our system. And we do have an option that you can do like a round robin feature where it assigns that user based off of round robin. And I do cover that round robin feature in this training for round robin lead assignments. So about a 3-minute training on how to do that. So you might go through that if you're interested in doing round robin, but you can specify a person or whatever. The other thing that there could be, and we're specifically doing follow-up boss in this case, there might be some fields that you want to bring over from follow-up boss, but we don't have a specific field for it, or some other source, so we may not have a specific field for it. Maybe they're looking for a certain neighborhood or a certain price range. Well, you can go in there in the notes field and say, price range something, and there might be a field in follow-up boss that has price range. Well, you could click on that and then pick on that particular merge field, and then it kind of labels it in the notes field of Realvolve. So then we can go in there and say, not only do we want price range, maybe we want neighborhood. And do the different types of fields one by one in there by assigning not only the field, but the label. Once you get everything assigned, you hit continue. In this case, it knows that there's some errors, so it's not going to continue. It'll let you save the name of this and then also go back to your dashboard, and then in which case you've got some zaps that can be run, and they'll be running automatically. As soon as the lead comes into follow-up boss, it can go right into Realvolve. So lots of cool things there for zapping things in there. Now, if you've already got contacts in follow-up boss and you want to bring them into Realvolve, the easiest thing to do is go into follow-up boss and just do an export, a CSV export. You can then go into our settings, clicking on the import contacts, choose that CSV file that you may have exported, and I'm just going to grab a CSV file of some sort. I know what this is, but this is not a follow-up boss file, but this is going to give you kind of an example of what we would be doing. Actually, yeah, it'll go. It'll upload that CSV file, however large it is. This one is actually a pretty large one. I probably should have picked this little smaller one. But it takes that file, it uploads it to our server as a CSV mappable file, and then it will give us the opportunity to map each individual field. So over here on the right-hand side, it'll show you the first column of that file is the field name, and then the second column is shown as an example. But if you come up here at the top, click on the little drop down, and we do already have an option in here for follow-up boss that you can map all the fields for. So typically, it's going to have like, let me just grab something to just kind of give you an example. Primary contact, in this case, first name. Primary contact is last name. So you can individually map them if you want, or you can, if it's a pre-mapped setting that we've already got, you can use any of those, and we've got a majority of the ones on there: eEdge, Follow-Up Boss, Infusionsoft, Mojo. I mean, there's Top Producer. We've got a couple different options for Top Producer, Realty Juggler, Redx. A lot of them are already pre-mapped. In which case, once you map all your fields, you come down to the very bottom. If there are any unmapped fields, you will have to say skip remaining, because it doesn't want you to not have any of them that aren't mapped. Once you've mapped them all, then you can choose the import feature. If you want to save it, it'd give you the opportunity to save that name by giving it your own name, and then click on import. That's really useful. So if maybe you're importing, not only do we have the ability to import contacts, we do have the ability to import properties as well. So if you're wanting to bring in information from maybe an MLS that you have an export to, you can bring in some basic information about that. It's really just a matter of changing it from primary contact down here to property. And whenever you do that, there are different fields that are available for properties than there are for contacts, for primary contact and secondary contact. So you've got a few different choices there that you can pick and choose from. Once everything is mapped out, you can click on import. I'm not going to click on that because it'll take a while to even do this, and it's totally not mapped right. Once that is imported, you can, when it starts to import, you'll come back to this screen here. You can click on the import report, and it will show you kind of a list of what it has done and kind of give you a status. If it imports and there's a problem with it, you want to undo that import, you can click on undo and then load it again, remap it, and you're good to go. So that's really the two main ways of dealing with those follow-up boss names that are in follow-up boss, both importing it through a CSV file and then also using Zapier to zap them in. Once you've got the bulk of them in through the CSV, you can just zap them in each time they come in. Hope that gives you what you want, Michael.
That was perfect, Mark.
Any other
things?
Cool. Very good.
Yeah.
I know I import contacts from my Real Geeks site. Okay, yeah, that's the same way. If you've got Real Geeks, you can make a new Zap, and Real Geeks has a Zap the same way. Anytime a new lead comes in, you select that, connect your account. It's all the same. Once you've done one or two of these, they're really all the same. You find out where the trigger is coming from, pick that trigger, that application, pick the the connection. You have to connect that account to your account, and then setting up the Realvolve account by choosing the app on Realvolve, and then doing those same mappings. And it's very easy to get those going once you set up one. It's very, very simple. And again, if you have any questions on that, go back to that training site and watch this using Zapier to import leads. And that video takes you step by step through using one of the features, which is a email parser, where if by chance the application you're wanting to integrate with, bring data in from, does not have any kind of Zap already pre-built, but they do send you an email, there is a way that you can take those emails, have it forward to a particular email address, and it will pluck out, it'll parse that information out of that email, the body of the email, and import it right into that database, and just makes it really easy. It's a little bit tedious setting it up the very first time, but once you set it up, then it's just automatic after that point, and very easy to on a daily basis get your leads in entered automatically and start that workflow so that you don't have to do anything. Somebody might go to an open house that you've got, and in that open house, maybe you've taken your iPad and you've set up maybe a little Google Sheet, a Google form that allows you to collect their name and maybe phone number or email. And you can set up a Zap to bring in a Google Sheet into Realvolve. So lots of applications that you can integrate with to make data entry so much easier than having to just manually enter it yourself. You can do all kinds of possibilities there. So how can I see where my leads are coming from? Okay. Whenever you're, just like in that Zap where we had selected the contact source, whenever you go into Realvolve, under the settings area, we do have this contact source types, and you can specify the different types of sources you want to be available. So if, I think we have a follow-up boss in here, I just don't know that I had it in my list. Maybe I don't. That's interesting. Need to get that in there. But what we can do is say, maybe I want to do FUB for follow-up boss, and click on Save. I'm able to add those custom types. So now, within my contact source, I now have a follow-up boss. And if I was to go back to that Zap, I'd be able to select follow-up boss from that drop-down list, that contact source list. But if I go to any particular contact in the database, under the contacts area, we do have a source field, contact source field, that will allow you to choose where it came from. So if we choose source type here, click on the down arrow, there's that follow-up boss that I just added. So by adding all of your types in through the Zap, or manually typing them if you want to, you can certainly do that. We can go in there and say, well, I want to know all the people that came from follow-up boss. So I can click on follow-up boss. Well, since I just added it to this one contact, I've only got one contact that's in there that has that as a contact source, but I can pull up the entire list there. I can see that list. If there was several of them in there, I can do a view all, clicking on the little chevrons, and be able to view all those contacts and be able to do something with them. But I also have the ability from within my dashboard, if I come back to my dashboard over here, it does show me my contact sources here. And we do have certain items in the list that have, whenever I click on them, be able to select their names based off of where did I get them. In this case, they came in from the web, and maybe I want to get some more detail on them. Maybe I want to add a note or send an email, send a text. I can do that. Or maybe I just want to go to that particular person and click on their name and be able to pull up their information and do stuff with it. So those are the different ways of accessing and seeing where your leads came from. Any other questions? Looks like we've got some here. Getting leads from Kunversion and seeing. Okay. That's a great question. Let me just see real quick. I'm not sure if Kunversion or Zapier.com. Just see if Kunversion has any kind of Zaps. Can you in? Okay. So Kunversion does have a Zap. It's in beta right now, but you can do the same type of thing. Looks like with Kunversion. So that is good. I didn't realize they had one. Here it is. Okay, so new lead. So absolutely, you can pull it in from Kunversion. It triggers it whenever a new lead comes in, excluding transfers. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not a conversion person, but it does allow you to bring in contacts from Kunversion. And commission, I'm assuming that's Commissions Inc. Let me just see. No. Commissions Inc. is not on there. I have been in discussion with Commissions Inc. and I believe they're working on a connection with our API. So you might hold off a little bit on that one. The other option would be with Commissions Inc. Whenever you get an email, sending it through our email parser and doing that. But definitely Kunversion is there as a app, and you'll be able to use it. Hope that is helpful, Roger. Any other questions? How do I add a new tag type to my contact? It's not in the list. Okay. We get this question a lot, and I'm not sure that I can make it too much easier, but in a contact, whenever you're in a contact record and you're in the radar tab, do that too quick, I guess. Okay. There are, now I've got some past due activities I really need to finish on this person. There's a tags area here on this contact in the radar tab. And typically whenever you click in here, it just shows you the list of all the different tags that are available. If you're needing to add a new tag, you want to use something different, and it's not in the list, just type it in. Say, my new tag. Or you can put in spaces in there even. My new tag, and then just tab out of that field. It'll create a little item there for your tags, and you can select multiple tags at one time. So you can put them on multiples. But whenever you add your own tag in there, once you leave this box, you leave this field, then it'll go ahead and assign that tag that you created plus any of the other ones that you wanted in there to be in that list. So that's all you need to do. It's very simple. Whenever you do that, it does go ahead and add that tag into the list of tags over on the left-hand side. And I've just got, I'm a kind of a tag maniac here, but here's my new tag. So if I click on my new tag, then there's Sue Seller. So you've got a couple different ways of accessing it. A lot of people say, well, I want to be able to add all my tags at one time. We don't allow that. But you could, if you wanted to, go to a particular contact in your database, add all your tags at one time to the database, to that one person, maybe yourself or a dummy record of some sort, and then all of them would be available. One thing that is important to know is that you have to have rights to be able to do that. So as the account owner, if you are the account owner, you have full rights to do that. If you're an assistant or somebody, if you do not have admin rights, and only an admin or the account owner can supply you with these rights, but there is an option here for a tag, and this has to be checked in order for you to have permissions to add your own tags. Otherwise, you can only select from the list of tags. So if you weren't able to type in before, it could be because your administrator didn't give you permission to create your own tags. So that's something to check. Have your admin or your account owner go into their users and permissions section in the settings area and give you rights to tags. Any other questions? We've got about 15 more minutes. If anybody has any other questions. Not seeing anything else in the questions area. No hands are up. Any SkySlope integrations for the future? You know, Roger, I have not messed with SkySlope. If I remember right, that is like automatic calling and leaving messages on a voicemail. Is that correct? Actually, Roger, can I just unmute you, see if you can? Roger, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. This is just transaction processing.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with SkySlope.
I'm a new EXP Realty agent, and I really like what you've done, except I'm trying to figure out how to make it work within my working environment.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we use for leads Kunversion and Sync, and for transaction processing we use SkySlope, which has a version of ZipForm, not ZipForm Plus.
Okay.
So I'm trying to see how to marry the two worlds. I've got one part, I don't have the other part.
Gotcha. Yeah. I tell you what, I'll do a little research to see what might be possible. I know we are working on an integration with .loop, and hopefully some of the other ones will come along fairly soon. And I'll just take a look to see if you're using SkySlope, if other people are using SkySlope, it's probably something I need to look into and to see if we can make that integration for you.
EXP is the only agent-owned cloud brokerage, and we just hit 2,400 realtors as of December 31st. So it may be worth looking into it.
Yeah. Well, part of being the Chief Innovation Officer here at Realvolve, I have the fun part of the business where I get to go out and take a look at what's new in the industry, what types of things are making raising their head up and trying to make integrations with things, trying to make the product better in ways that agents would like. Will we add everything? No, we won't. I had another product previous to Realvolve and made the mistake of trying to add everything under the sun to it, and it really became such a monstrosity. Too many things in there, too many options, too many features that people got lost in it. And one of the things that we want to do within Realvolve is really keep it simple, and we can still make integrations yet make it simple. So this is something that I will take a look at and just see what we can come up with. But that's a great question.
I want to let you know, I know where you're coming from. I have 35 years experience in doing what you're doing. But
all right.
Before I got into real estate. But what I want to say is that there is a hole, it seems, because Sync and Kunversion do great up front, and other platforms do great at the back end. And you're filling a big gap in the middle, which is the best I've seen so far. But how to tentacle into those two areas is those, what you're focused in is really good, but I'm trying to figure out how do we make those workflows go through to taking care of the transactions, process under SkySlope or something else.
Yeah.
that the realtor or the realty agency wants to have still. So because of
Now,
other reasons.
do you know if SkySlope has the ability to import through a CSV file? I mean, is that
What kind of file?
a CSV file of some sort, or any kind of?
I have not yet checked that out.
Okay.
I will have in about 4 more days SkySlope access, so I'll be able to tell you, but
Okay.
I don't know. And it does. I have not seen yet an import function directly. So that's
well,
sort of.
Here's the reason why I ask. You know, I was showing earlier the Zapier functions, the ability to bring in information into Realvolve. Well, we have a lot of users that's using what we call a reverse Zap, where through a workflow and through a template, creating some fields in a template. So you could come over here into templates, for instance, and let me just grab something, maybe a property template of some sort. It's already there. Well, here's one. Like, I have one thing that Facebook took away from us about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, was the ability to send data to share with Facebook and vice versa, be able to send messages and stuff like that. Well, we have figured out that through a Zap has some mechanism where it can take data and put into Facebook. And how they're doing it, I'm not exactly sure. But what's cool is the fact that we can take data from within Realvolve and using these merge fields that we've got, send it to the email parser that then sends it into Facebook, or we could send it into a Google Sheet or something like that. So technically, we might be able to, if they can import data through a CSV file or through some other source, there might be a way of bringing in data through a Zap, kind of behind the scenes, and just
understand. The reason I mentioned it the way I did was to say maybe that's something that you need to talk to maybe SkySlope and see how to work with them.
Yeah.
Because when you talk to them, it has a whole different level of importance than if I mention it. You know, it's like they might listen up and somebody in their company said there might be something for us to pull in these clients. So
absolutely, yeah. And I'll take a look and see what they have available, or what possibilities. You know, they may have some kind of API that we can integrate with, and
yeah, but your workflow is the biggest advantage to structuring an organization quickly. So it's like, you know, how do I integrate it is the other part I'm looking at, because it helps everybody else.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was there any other questions from you, Roger? No?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else in my list. If there's anybody else, we've got about 8 minutes left. I'll be happy to answer whatever you may have, but if not, going once, going twice. All right. Well, you guys have an awesome rest of the week. Friday is coming around tomorrow, so it's almost the end of the week. I know you guys work on Saturdays and stuff, but if there's anything we can do here at Realvolve to help you guys be more productive, help answer any questions, you know, by all means, send us an email, visit our live chat. Again, you can go down to the live chat or submit a support ticket or visit our help. You know, we're here to help you, and that's really what our goal is to help you guys be more productive in doing what you're doing. We've got a lot of really cool things getting ready to happen, and so keep your ears open for some announcements coming up here very shortly, and we will see you soon. So have a great day, guys, and a great week. Bye.